Welcome back. We're continuing our 0 EXP challenge on Disgaea 5 today. We're now up to chapter 11 and we're super close to the end of the game now. I won't spoil it, but we're going to make some pretty big changes to our team later on. So, first stage. This does look a little intimidating at first, but most of the enemies will magi change. The stage is pretty straightforward. We've hit revenge mode early, so we're just aiming to hit as many enemies as possible with our AoE skills. So the gimmick with this map is pretty obvious. We're just going to send out a weak unit as death fodder. One thing to watch out for is these wrestler guys. They have a move that can damage and pick up your unit on the same turn. So if we only have a single unit left, it is possible to get super unlucky and lose even if you've got really insane stats. Moving on to the next stage. First thing I want to point out is that despite all of the panels having the no lifting effect, you can still lift and throw enemies off of the base panel. I mean, we kinda have to, right? That was super satisfying. The barrels killed most of the enemies, to be honest, so that was actually pretty easy. Now this map. This goddamn map. I don't know why I had so much trouble here, but it took a really long time. Still one attempt, the map just took such a long time to beat. So the issue I'm having is that the maids along the front all have range attacks, and since we don't have any range attacks, we have to walk all the way around, absorbing the damage all the way. So the most obvious thing would be to throw our fighter up the ledge so we can actually attack them. And we'll throw a couple other fighters over so we can pick up our main unit at the end of each turn. This was working pretty well, but I knew we were going to run out of units before we could get rid of all the enemies. Also, our health was getting low and the healer wasn't in range. Our only choice at this point is to throw the fighter back down. This is where the main trouble came in. I spent the next 10 or so minutes doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. It consisted of chipping away at the enemies that were pushing up and trying to heal at the same time. That might not sound too bad, but for whatever reason, I spent like 10 to 15 minutes doing this. So once enough of the enemies were gone, I was able to throw our fighter up and finish it off from there. Boss time! The key here is to get rid of the boss as early as possible, as I believe she can revive the enemies. This is made even worse for us, since we've only got a single unit that can deal damage. We've got a decent AoE attack, so we can focus on hitting the boss as well as taking out a bunch of units each turn. For the most part, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Do I mention the part where it took me at least 3 or 4 attempts? Anyway, I bet you're wondering what we're doing back here. I wanted to capture some higher level enemies so we could create some level 50 characters. As a reminder, I did set a limit in earlier videos of level 50. Since we can't go over this, I thought it might be a good idea to put together a team now that we can use all the way through to the end. So I think it did take me around 20 minutes to realize that you can't recruit a unit unless you already have that particular class unlocked. So we had to go and unlock the Armor Knight class before continuing. Now it's time to put together a new team. Firstly, we're going to recruit a new fighter at max rank. Then, we're going to get 3 Armor Knights. If you already know the ability that the Armor Knights have, you already know what I'm going to do. Next, we're going to buy a bunch of armor for our Knights. We're going to make an extract out of the leftover prisoners that we have, just to try and get our new fighter up to the same level as our older one. The goal is to try and get their stats close together as possible, so we have 2 attackers. There's one last thing I want to take a look at before taking on the next chapter, the Innocent Farm. This is something that's super helpful and pretty much necessary in the post game, and I don't usually bother with it until at least after the main story. But if we do get started now, I'm sure we can make use of it in the coming chapters. We'll do a quick run through of Item World so we can subdue some gladiators. So once that's done, we can put the newly subdued gladiators into the Innocent Farm. This will not only grow them over time, but also breed new gladiators. Now, we've got a nice new fresh team put together, and I think we're ready to continue. The next few stages deal random damage at the end of each turn, and this is completely separate from any geo effects. So instead of the usual tactic in the past of buffing the single unit, picking them up each turn, and kinda hoping for the best, we can try something different with our new team. We're going to stick our 3 Armor Knights behind the base panel, well and have them defend each turn. Because of their unique ability, they will actually take the damage for our fighters each turn if they are in defense mode. I also forgot to mention that we created a new healer, so now we have Giga Heal, which does a substantial amount more. The best part about this new team is that we can have our healer stay back and just constantly heal the knights. Dude, honestly, I'm loving this new team. It's a great change of pace compared to the past where we just stuck with a single unit. With this stage, I don't see the point of having these boxes in the center over here. It's honestly way easier just to throw our units across the water. This is another huge bonus of using knights. In previous stages, we'd have to throw additional units over so we can pick our main unit up, but since they're just there to take damage, we can just leave them at the base panel. Okay, so we did lose one knight towards the end, but that's because I was careless, and honestly, it was still incredibly easy with this new team. And if we really need to, we can still use some more extract or give them better items. Something we might need to consider over the next few stages is creating 1 or 2 more healers, I think. In addition to the new healer, I'm still also using the original one, and they are stuck with Mega Heal, which does basically nothing. I like that the path here is only 3 panels wide, so we can keep our healer behind and just spam heal. This is so much easier now. So here's a problem. I remembered that in the next stage you have to play as Killia once he goes into revenge mode, so I'm just hoping that he doesn't have the same stats that our Killia has. We'll just get through this stage first and see how we go. Yes, luckily we don't have to use our own Killia, and the stats of this Killia are more than enough to take on the stage easily. And that's the chapter done. Now, I want to try and get through the next chapter, the entire chapter if possible, without having to change or strengthen our team at all. To be fair, I'm not doing a great job already. We have 1 knight left and our fighters are almost dead. This is just the first stage. I think for this stage, we're going to just keep our knights on the silence panels and hope for the best. The other panels make them more vulnerable to wind damage, so they can probably get one shot if we're not careful. I did have a bit of trouble with this stage though. The enemies on the cliff keep putting our units to sleep, so I thought it would be a good idea just to waste their SP before I moved up. It took my dumb ass about 10 minutes before I realized that they were regaining SP each turn, so I wasn't even getting anywhere. Besides that small hiccup, the stage was pretty straightforward, and I realized that if we move our characters up, they retreat anyway. Magnus, my guy, you are talking real tough for someone that's standing behind everyone else. Not going to lie, I did poop myself a little here. Unlike the earlier stage, our Killia is actually level 1 here. No items, nothing. Oh, a big sigh of relief. We can use our other characters as normal though. Not really sure what happens if Killia dies though. Let's not find out. Does this mean that Bloodus is going to... No. Wait, what? Good, okay, we're okay. Challenge continues. It did come pretty close though. All of our other units were dead and we were down to our last 2 fighters. Spoiler alert, next week will be the final part. So if you have any other suggestions for Disgaea videos or challenges, please let me know. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and I will be back next week with the next video. See you then.